Welcome back to Nittany Sports Huddle. We're outside of Beaver Stadium where Penn State just took on the Fighting Illini, in which Penn State came away with a 39-0 victory. And I'm here with a teammate of mine, Mike Russo, who played on the national championship team in 1986. And I just wanted to get his take on some of the things that's going on within the Penn State program, and just to get in his view of what he sees going on and what he sees heading into the future. Mike, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, and then you can get into a little bit about Penn State football.
Sure. After the 1986 national championship football team, I went out to Pittsburgh and became an account manager for a large mining and construction company. And now I have my son and daughter. My son's up here at Penn State as a freshman, and we're just, completely happy to come back to Penn State and be in this fantastic environment on a regular basis now.
Yeah, that's why I always come back, because there's so many good things that happen, and the environment is just one in which it's like a magnet. It draws you back to Penn State, and as you know, some of our teammates have moved back to this area, and that's the one thing that Penn State kind of do. It kind of sucks you in and make you want to come back. And I think this is my third time seeing you up here this year. So,
well, this is one thing that I notice about Penn State football players. I might not see you for 10 years, and when we see each other, it's a family. It's a chain. It's a chain that's unbroken. And it was galvanized by Joe Paterno. It was just, we were fortunate to be, work with Joe and work under Joe and have him, steer us in the path of making sure we go to class and the student athlete. It was really a phenomenal time.
Yes, it was. I just remember to wake up, have the breakfast check every morning where we had to go check in, sign in. Some guys may not have a class until 11, 12 o'clock, but you still had to be there.
Had to get up early
for breakfast check. And that's the one thing Joe Paterno did. He really instilled in us a lot of good qualities. And the qualities that he instilled in us is some of the things I think I saw in last week's game, because I think Penn State never gave up last week against Maryland, and I thought there was some times when, Maryland came back and answered every time we scored, but we didn't give up. They showed perseverance. They showed determination. And a lot of those things. And I think that helped them this week.
Absolutely.
And this victory in which they shut Illinois out. So I think those are some of the things. What is your take on how this team are starting to gel as the season progresses?
Well, one thing that you brought up earlier was, the fact that we, under Joe Paterno, there was a lot of guys that had a lot of heart. We played as a unit. We didn't play as individuals, and that's why we went down and beat Miami. A team of individuals they were, and they were all over the place. Joe always spoke of poise and being a student athlete and being a gentleman off the field, but playing tough on the field. These are the things we did. This is what I'm noticing with this team right now, Blair, is that they in adversity they fought, they keep coming back. Which is it's good to be tested that way, to have your character tested week in and week out, and being able to dig down inside your soul and say, hey, we're Penn State, we're going to get this thing done. And they came back. This week I noticed Hackenberg looked poised in the pocket. He was fluid in the pocket. I mean, there was a couple of interceptions, a couple of plays like that, but for the most part, the team looked like they looked very powerful. Defense was really, dominating today. I thought they dominated the line of scrimmage. I thought they played a well-balanced game. It was really, really nice.
The one thing that I like is the fact that last week they threw the ball down the field quite a bit. So I think they gained some respect, which if anytime you stretch the field, it kind of loosens things up underneath. Saquon Barkley is running tough. All those guys that contribute. Hackenberg is moving the ball around. I like the fact that he stepped up into the pocket several times.
I agree.
And then he fired the ball, whereas in previous weeks we weren't seeing those type of athletic moves from him. The last couple games, I'd say the last 3 games, he's been more mobile with his feet and trusting what he's seeing. And if it's not there, he's take off running. Those are the qualities that you would like to see, in your quarterback if that presents itself. Defensively speaking, we had a couple turnovers this week, but you know what? The defense came through as they always do, and it was almost like a hard-court Penn State defense where, it's a bend but don't break type of attitude, and those guys did that this week. Did you see that same thing in those guys?
I really did. It kind of reminded me of our team in a way where, when the defense needed to step up, and I noticed this in week after week, especially with this Penn State team here now, that the defense has been stepping up when they needed to do it. Guys are knocking balls down. Guys are getting interceptions. They're doing what they need to do to help the offense win these games. And I think that you would probably agree that looked very similar to the way, there was always someone stepping up in our games that year in 1986 especially. Someone was always stepping up, making a play, making it happen, helping out. If things weren't going great on offense or on defense, someone on either side of the ball stepped up and made that come happen for us.
You're absolutely correct, because your senior year, that defense that you guys had was the one that kind of saved our offense, because it was times our offense sputtered through and we have one or two players step up and create some big plays, but for the most part, we was a defensive strong team. It was, I look at it as though our defense is the one thing that led us to the national championship game, is because you guys were so dominant. My memory probably fading a little bit, but I don't know if you guys gave up 21 points in a game that whole year, because the defense was so stingy.
Right, but as Joe always said, it's always been a team, and there's no I in the spelling of team. So if we didn't have points on the board from the offense, they found a way to get points on the board, we wouldn't have won that game either. Especially the national championship game, 14-10. We needed to get those points, and then we did. Like you said, sometimes you bend, but you don't break, and you come out of it with the victory. It was. I think these guys are showing a lot of that type of character, and I think the program right now is settling in. Some of the things are kind of getting behind us here at Penn State, and these guys are moving forward, and they're moving forward in a very positive direction. It looks like to me, from what I read, I don't know James Franklin very well, but it looks like some of the ideals he has are in line with Joe Paterno, with getting the kids to class, making sure they're getting up on time, making sure they're watching out for each other. There's it looks like some discipline is happening here. So I'm really happy and excited about that.
That's the basis of teaching kids life lessons. The college is a period where you get these 17, 18-year-old kids that think they know everything. You as a coach and as a mentor have to teach them different life lessons. And I thought the same thing last year when Franklin first came here. Some of the things that he said in a lot of his speeches was life lessons. So I thought we had a great coach that was going to come in and kind of continue the things that we learned as young men, developing into older men, going on to have families. So a lot of those things that I hear in his press conference are positive things. That's why I'm here always every week supporting these guys, because they deserve the same experience we had.
Right.
I mean,
right.
It's just Penn State is a quality place to go get an education, and we're always happy to come back and support these young guys, because what happened in previous years wasn't their fault. So we got to make sure that we put that behind us fast enough that these guys can move forward into their careers and have a pleasant experience here as we did. So thank you guys for joining us on Nittany Sports Huddle. We'll be right back with more Nittany Sports Huddle.